Greetings everyone, my name is Gigi and this is Let's Build, wherein I build a Lego set, time to different media, and talk about the facts concerning the topic of the build. Today's build is the Lego Marvel Infinity Gauntlet versus the game Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. The footage I am using for this game is for science, educational, and research purposes. My content is transformative and protected under fair use. All footage is time-lapse with commentary. Some plot spoilers for comics and films that feature the Infinity Gauntlet, so you have been warned. Specifications: Lego Marvel Infinity Gauntlet is a challenging construction project that rewards the builder with an impressive display piece that perfectly evokes Marvel's captivating style. Collectible Marvel movie model. This Lego brick recreation of the iconic Infinity Gauntlet featured in the Marvel Studios Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame movies is certain to attract attention and interest wherever it is displayed. With movable fingers, vibrantly colored infinity stones, and a descriptive tablet attached to the sturdy base, this golden gauntlet provides an engrossing construction challenge and a finished model that will captivate all who see it. Lego brick model making kits. Escape the busy world and immerse yourself in the relaxing pleasure of adult Lego building kits. Perfect for anyone with an interest in creative construction or comic book culture. The stunning build and display Lego Marvel Infinity Gauntlet captures forever the captivating style of Marvel Studios Infinity War and Avengers Endgame movies. This authentic golden Lego brick recreation of the iconic Infinity Gauntlet includes a colorful infinity stones and a sturdy stand featuring a descriptive tablet. This 590-piece set also gives adult Marvel fans the opportunity to immerse themselves in creative construction and recreate one of the comic book culture's most recognizable and most devastating weapons. This standout build and display piece makes a great birthday gift, Christmas present, or personal treat for any model-making enthusiast or adult fan of the Marvel Universe. Measuring over 12.5 inches high, 5 inches wide, and 4 inches deep, this fascinating model provides an attractive conversation piece, whether displayed in your home or workplace. This impressive homage to Marvel's enduring appeal offers a satisfying building experience, resulting in a timeless display piece that is sure to be the center of attention and draw admiring comments. The high-quality, easy-to-follow instructions mean you can embark on this fascinating construction project as soon as you open the box. The range of Lego sets created with adults in mind are designed to deliver a satisfying build and display experience that will captivate any model-making enthusiast. Lego building kits meet rigorous industry quality standards to ensure that they are consistent, compatible, and connect and pull apart perfectly every time. It's been that way since 1958. Lego components are dropped, heated, crushed, twisted, and analyzed to make sure they meet stringent global safety standards. The fate of the universe is in your hands. Iconic, all-powerful, and inevitable. This is the model wanted by every hero and villain in the galaxy. When designing our Lego recreation of the Infinity Gauntlet, it was really important to us that fans could have the experience of adding the colorful infinity stones, one by one, as the very last pieces of the model. We also ensured that the fingers were posable so you could achieve Thanos' famous snap from the Marvel Studios Avengers Infinity War. We hope you enjoy building, and please wish for something a little less destructive than the last guy that wore it. Carter Luce Baldwin, the Lego designer. The Infinity Gauntlet is an American comic book storyline published by Marvel Comics. In addition to an eponymous 6-issue limited series written by Jim Starlin and penciled by George Perez and Ron Lim, crossover chapters appeared in related comic books. Since its initial serialization from July to December of 1991, the series has been reprinted in various formats and editions. The series' events are driven by Thanos, a nihilist character created for Marvel by Starlin in 1973. When Starlin began writing The Silver Surfer in 1990, he and Lim began a new plot with Thanos that developed over 16 monthly issues and a spin-off limited series before concluding the Infinity Gauntlet. Perez was brought in to draw the Infinity Gauntlet because he had more name recognition among fans and because Lim had already had a full schedule. However, after completing 3 issues and part of the 4th, his own busy schedule and dissatisfaction with the story led him to being replaced by Lim. At the start of the Infinity Gauntlet, the character Thanos has collected all 6 Infinity Gems and attached them to his gauntlet. With their combined power, he becomes like a god and sets out to win the affection of Mistress Death, the living embodiment of death in the Marvel Universe. When Thanos uses his powers to instantly erase half of the life in the universe from existence, Adam Warlock leads Earth's remaining heroes against him. After the Infinity Gauntlet is stolen by Thanos' villainous granddaughter, Nebula, Thanos aids the remaining heroes in defeating her. The series was a top seller for Marvel during publication and was followed by 2 immediate sequels, The Infinity War from '92 and The Infinity Crusade from '93. The story's events continued to be referenced in other Marvel comics for decades. The Infinity Gauntlet remained popular among fans, warranting multiple reprint editions and merchandise, with its themes and plot elements adapted into video games and animated cartoons. Most notable among later adaptations was the Infinity Saga of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which incorporated elements of the original comic story into the saga that spanned across almost 24 connected films. Plot: resurrected by Mistress Death to correct a perceived imbalance between life and death, the Mad Titan Thanos first encounters the Silver Surfer and subsequently fakes his own death to proceed without interference. Thanos decides to reacquire the 6 Infinity Gems that he had previously used as a simple weapon. After defeating several of the Elders of the Universe and the In-Betweener, Thanos regains the gems and now has control over the 6 aspects of existence: time, space, mind, soul, reality, and power. Ironically, now that Thanos is in possession of his Infinity Gauntlet, Death must advise him via an intermediary. She cannot speak directly to him, as he is now her superior. When the Silver Surfer learns that Thanos is still alive and confronts him, Thanos traps the Silver Surfer's soul inside of the Soul Gem. On Soul World, the Silver Surfer encounters former enemy of Thanos, Adam Warlock. Warlock returns the Surfer to his body and promises to help defeat Thanos. The Surfer races to Earth to warn the super team, the Avengers, about the coming threat. Demonic entity Mephisto senses the power in the Infinity Gauntlet and offers to instruct Thanos in its use, while secretly waiting for an opportunity to steal it himself. Angry at Mistress Death's rejection, Thanos creates a shrine in her image, and then traps and burns Nebula, who pretended to be his granddaughter, as an offering. When she rejected, Thanos, in a fit of rage, destroys several stars and then remembers the reason Mistress Death wanted him. With only the snap of his fingers, Thanos eliminates half of all living beings in the universe. The Surfer warns Doctor Strange about Thanos and encourages him to summon Earth's heroes. Cosmic entities Galactus and Epoch seek the source of the sudden imbalance, while Warlock and companions Gamora and Pip the Troll leave Soul World and occupy recently dead humans on Earth, reviving and altering the bodies to match their former appearance. Warlock appears before Doctor Strange and claims Thanos can only be defeated if Earth's remaining heroes unite under his command. Warlock meets with a group of cosmic entities who, despite the reluctance and withdrawal from the Living Tribunal and Eternity, agree to help attack Thanos. The combined heroes attack while Warlock and the Surfer observe, with Thanos almost defeated after heeding Mephisto's advice to limit his power to demonstrate his devotion to death, until Doctor Doom, a part of the team working against Thanos, arrogantly tries and fails to steal the gauntlet, to which Thanos then knocks Doom throughout all of space and kills most of the heroes. After the heroes fail, the cosmic entities attack, with Mephisto and Mistress Death also joining in on the assault on Thanos. Thanos, however, traps all the entities in stasis and changes the shrine to feature himself instead of Mistress Death. Believing that he has defeated all of his enemies, Thanos separates his consciousness from his body and assumes an astral form, taking the place of eternity. Nebula uses this opportunity to steal the now discarded Infinity Gauntlet. After restoring herself, Nebula banishes Thanos to drift through interstellar space, but he is rescued and brought to Earth by Doctor Strange. Warlock advises Thanos that whilst in Soul World, he was able to examine the Titan's soul. Courtesy of his bond to the Soul Gem, Warlock knew Thanos would eventually lose the Infinity Gauntlet because, at his core, Thanos felt himself unworthy of the power. Overwhelmed by this revelation, Thanos agrees to help Warlock, Doctor Strange, and the Silver Surfer oppose Nebula. Thanos tricks Nebula into restoring the universe to its prior condition, inadvertently reverting into a burn victim in the process. Nebula wills herself back to health before Thanos can retrieve the gauntlet, but during this distraction, Warlock returns to Soul World and uses his connection to the gem to create disharmony between the other gems. This causes Nebula to remove the gauntlet, which an emerging Warlock claims for himself. Preferring death to imprisonment, Thanos apparently dies in a suicide bomb blast. The heroes have reservations about Warlock keeping the gauntlet, but he returns them to Earth. Warlock then travels 60 days into the future to visit an unnamed planet where Thanos is living as a farmer. Thanos advises Warlock that he has given up his quest for power and plans to lead a quiet, introspective life. The Infinity Stones are fictional items in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, media franchise, based on the Infinity Gems of the Marvel Comics. As expounded across several interwoven MCU multimedia titles, the 6 Infinity Stones are reputed to embody and control essential aspects of existence: space, mind, reality, power, time, and soul, thereby making them crucial artifacts in the MCU and, altogether, the MacGuffin of the dedicated Infinity Saga. Thanos sets out to collect all 6 stones to use them to wipe out half of all of life in the universe, believing that his plan will save it from extinction. In 2018, Thanos accomplishes his goal and snaps his fingers while wearing the Infinity Gauntlet containing the stones, causing the blip. Thanos eventually uses the stones again to destroy them, and 5 years later, the surviving Avengers form a plan to go back in time to collect the stones from other time periods to undo Thanos' snap. After defeating Thanos and undoing his actions from 2018, Steve Rogers, Captain America, returns the stones to the exact moments in time that the Avengers collected them from. Despite being destroyed, the stones make appearances in the multiverse saga, including in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness from 2022, in an alternate universe where Thanos was defeated on his home planet of Titan by the Illuminati before he can collect all of the stones. They also make appearances in several of the MCU television series on Disney+, between flashbacks of WandaVision from 2021 and alternate universes in the first season of Loki from 2021, and the animated series What If from 2021 to 2024. Scientific studies relating to the stones have been conducted, mostly since the release of Infinity War, including one focusing on the control of matter. The stones, with the exception of the Soul Stone, made their debuts in films leading up to Avengers Infinity War. The Space Stone, the first stone to appear, was featured in a post-credit scene of Thor, housed within the Tesseract. The Stone/Tesseract established its significance in the MCU through the following films: Captain America, the First Avenger, and The Avengers. In the first Avenger, the Red Skull used the power of the stone to power Hydra's weaponry during World War II. In The Avengers, Loki was sent to Earth by Thanos to get the stone from S.H.I.E.L.D. The Space Stone did not make another appearance until Phase 3, when it made a minor appearance in Thor Ragnarok, and played a major role in Captain Marvel, when it was revealed that the stone gave Carol Danvers her powers. The Mind Stone first showed up in The Avengers, housed in a scepter given to Loki in his efforts to get the Space Stone from Earth. The stone returned with the scepter in Avengers Age of Ultron, where it was being used on human test subjects. The Mind Stone was eventually used to give Vision life. Thor: The Dark World introduced the Reality Stone in its liquid form known as Aether. It temporarily infected Jane Foster before it was given to the Collector to keep it separate from the Space Stone. The Power and Time Stones made their debuts in Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange, respectively. Ronan the Accuser seeks out the Power Stone for Thanos, but he is defeated by the Guardians of the Galaxy, who entrust the stone with the Nova Corps. Stephen Strange finds the Eye of Agamotto, which houses the Time Stone, and uses it to save Earth from the demon Dormammu. The Soul Stone was the last stone to make an appearance, first showing up in Infinity War when Thanos collects the stone on Vormir after sacrificing Gamora. The stories of the stones in the MCU take place on Earth-616 universe. In 2014, the Collector explains that the Infinity Stones are the remnants of 6 singularities that existed before the Big Bang, which were compressed into stones by cosmic entities after the universe began, and which were dispersed throughout the cosmos. 4 years later, it is further explained by Wong and Stephen Strange that each Infinity Stone embodies and controls an essential aspect of the universe. Events before Infinity War. The Space Stone. At some point, the Tesseract, which contains the Space Stone, came into possession of Odin, who hid it on Earth in the Norwegian village of Tonsberg, whose inhabitants were Asgardian worshippers. In 1942, Johann Schmidt steals the Tesseract from a church in Tonsberg and uses it to power Hydra's weaponry during World War II. During Steve Rogers' final fight against Schmidt in 1943, the Tesseract transports the latter to the planet Vormir. Afterwards, the Tesseract falls into the Arctic Ocean, where it is later recovered by Howard Stark and taken to a S.H.I.E.L.D. secret base. In 1989, Dr. Wendy Lawson, working with S.H.I.E.L.D., unsuccessfully tries to use the Tesseract to unlock lightspeed travel to help the Skrulls find a new home. However, her experiments result in Carol Danvers being granted superhuman strength, flight, and the ability to generate energy blasts. In 1995, Danvers eventually recovers the Tesseract and returns the object to S.H.I.E.L.D., but it is temporarily swallowed by a Flerken named Goose, who later vomits it out on Nick Fury's desk. In 2011, Fury shows the Tesseract to Dr. Eric Selvig and recruits him to work with it. In 2012, the Tesseract suddenly opens a portal allowing for Loki to come through. Loki steals the Tesseract and later opens a wormhole, using it to transport the Chitauri army to the New York City in an attempt to conquer Earth. After the Avengers repel the invasion, Thor returns the Tesseract to Asgard for safekeeping in Odin's vault, and it is used to repair the Bifrost. In 2018, Loki takes the Tesseract from the vault during Ragnarok before escaping. The Mind Stone. This stone was originally housed in a scepter in the possession of Thanos and the Other, and is lent to Loki in 2012 to help locate the Tesseract and conquer Earth with its ability to control people's minds and project energy blasts. After Loki's defeat, the scepter is handed over to S.H.I.E.L.D., after which it falls into the hands of secret Hydra leader Baron Wolfgang von Strucker, who uses it to experiment on people including siblings Pietro and Wanda Maximoff, who are the only surviving subjects of Strucker's experiments. Von Strucker's experiments cause Pietro to gain superhuman abilities and amplify Wanda's powers. In 2015, Strucker's base is attacked by the Avengers, who take back the scepter. The Avengers discover that it contains the Mind Stone, which itself contains an artificial intelligence that grants sentience to the computer program Ultron, who steals the scepter and removes the stone to create a newly upgraded body. The Avengers steal the Mind Stone infused body from Ultron and upload the AI Jarvis into it, giving birth to the android Vision, after which the Mind Stone is embedded in Vision's forehead. The Reality Stone. Eons ago, Malekith attempts to use the Reality Stone, appearing in its fluid-like weapon state called the Aether, to destroy the Nine Realms. His plan was to return the universe to its pre-Big Bang state, only to be thwarted by Bor, who had hidden it on Earth. In 2013, Jane Foster becomes infected by the Aether after coming across its resting place, though Malekith later draws it out of her. After Malekith is defeated by Thor, Sif and Volstagg steal the Aether in a lantern-like container and entrust it to the Collector on planet Nowhere to keep it separate from the Tesseract, as the three of them consider it unwise to have multiple Infinity Stones in close proximity to each other. The Aether, once bonded to a host, can turn anything into dark matter as well as suck the life force out of humans and other mortals. The Aether can also disrupt the laws of physics and repel threats if it senses any. The Power Stone. Housed in the orb hidden in a secret temple on the abandoned planet Morag, the Power Stone is capable of increasing the user's strength and destroying entire civilizations with a single blast. However, the stone is too much for most mortal beings to physically handle because of its power will destroy them on contact. In 2014, Ronan the Accuser seeks the orb for Thanos, but Peter Quill finds and steals the orb from Morag's resting spot before Korath can. Ronan eventually steals it from the Guardians. After learning about the Power Stone, however, Ronan betrays Thanos and tries to use its destructive power to destroy the planet Xandar. During the battle to protect Xandar, by sharing the burden of the Power Stone's energy, the Guardians are able to use it to kill Ronan. It is later revealed that Peter Quill's half-celestial physiology allowed him to withstand the stone's power on his own for a brief time before the other Guardians joined him. They seal the Power Stone in a new orb and entrust it to the Nova Corps on Xandar for safekeeping. The Time Stone. In 2016, Dr. Stephen Strange finds the Eye of Agamotto, which houses the Time Stone, and learns how to use it to save the Earth from Dormammu by trapping him in a time loop, until the demon abandons his plans for the Earth. Strange returns the Eye of Agamotto to the Masters of the Mystic Arts' secret compound in Kamartaj in Kathmandu, Nepal, but soon begins wearing it again. The Soul Stone. An object that has the ability to manipulate the soul and essence of a person, control life and death, and contains a pocket dimension called Soul World. At some time in the past, Thanos tasks Gamora to find the Soul Stone, as there is little record of its existence compared to the other Infinity Stones. Gamora finds a map leading to where it is hidden, in a shrine on the planet Vormir, but chooses to destroy the map and not tell Thanos, only telling Nebula of it and swearing her to secrecy, unaware that Thanos wasn't fooled by her lies. The Blip. Thanos begins his quest to collect all 6 stones by decimating Xandar in order to obtain the Power Stone. He then tracks down the Space Stone and intercepts the Asgardian ship on its way to Earth after the destruction of Asgard. Thanos kills half of the occupants and threatens to kill Thor as well, but Loki gives up the Tesseract to save his brother's life. Thanos proceeds to crush the Tesseract to acquire the Space Stone. He tells his children to acquire the 2 stones on Earth. He then uses the Power Stone to destroy the ship that he teleports his children and himself away with the Space Stone. Thanos' 4 children split up, with 2 looking to collect the Time Stone from Doctor Strange, and the other 2 going after Vision for the Mind Stone. In New York, Ebony Maw and Cull Obsidian attempt to steal the Time Stone from Strange, but are foiled by Tony Stark, Peter Parker, and Wong. Strange is teleported up to Maw's ship with Stark and Parker sneaking aboard. In Edinburgh, Vision is injured by Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive in their attempts to get the stone from his head. After the pair are defeated, with the help of Steve Rogers, Sam Wilson, and Natasha Romanoff, Vision is taken to Wakanda to have the stone removed by Shuri, in the hope that Vision would be able to live without it. While his children are on Earth, Thanos acquires the Aether from the Collector on Nowhere and turns it back into the Reality Stone, allowing for him to repel the Guardians of the Galaxy's attacks by turning Drax into rocks, Mantis into ribbon strips, and causing Peter Quill's gun to shoot bubbles. Thanos then teleports Gamora and himself back to his ship, where he is keeping a captured Nebula. He uses the Power Stone to torture her in front of Gamora, forcing Gamora to agree to take him to Vormir to find the Soul Stone. On Vormir, they encounter the Stone Keeper, the Red Skull. Thanos reluctantly sacrifices Gamora to fulfill his requirements to obtain the Soul Stone once the Red Skull explains to them that the stone requires the sacrifice of a loved one to earn it. Maw gets sucked out of the airlock, and his ship takes Stark, Strange, and Parker to Titan, Thanos' home planet, where they run into Quill, Drax, and Mantis. Before Thanos arrives, Strange uses the Time Stone to look into future timelines and view millions of possible outcomes for their conflict, learning only one future in which they win. Thanos arrives expecting Maw and fights the Avengers and Guardians using the stones. He defeats them all, leading Strange to surrender the Time Stone to prevent Thanos from killing Stark to ensure the winning future comes to pass. Thanos' remaining children arrive in Wakanda, where Shuri is unable to complete the removal of the Mind Stone from Vision's head before she is attacked by Glaive. Thanos arrives looking to get the stone himself, using some of the stones against the Avengers and Wakandans trying to fight him off. As a result of the stone still being in Vision's head, Wanda is forced to destroy Vision and the stone to try to prevent Thanos from getting it, only for Thanos to use the Time Stone to prepare them both and collect the stone anyhow. Thanos uses all of the stones to initiate the blip, where he is briefly transported into the Soul World and encounters a vision of young Gamora. He then teleports away with the Space Stone to the garden. Thanos uses the stones to destroy them to prevent further use in the future. The Time Heist. After Scott Lang is freed from the quantum realm 5 years after the blip, he goes to the Avengers compound and brings up the idea of a time heist, using the quantum realm to collect each stone from different points in time, as changing the past does not change the future, instead creates alternate timelines. The surviving Avengers split up into teams to each focus on one stone. Rogers, Stark, Lang, and Banner travel to an alternate 2012, where the space, mind, and time stones are all located. Stark and Lang attempt to steal the 2012 Tesseract, but the 2012 Hulk accidentally knocks Stark down, and the 2012 Tesseract is taken by the 2012 Loki, who uses it to open a wormhole and escape. Rogers retrieves the scepter containing the 2012 Mind Stone, using it to render his 2012 self unconscious after he mistook him for a disguised Loki. Banner convinces the Ancient One to relinquish that timeline's Time Stone, promising to return it after they are done using it to ensure that the alternate timelines survive. After failing to retrieve the 2012 Space Stone, Stark and Rogers travel to an alternate 1970 and take the 1970 Tesseract from Camp Lehi, New Jersey, and use a stolen briefcase to smuggle it out. Thor and Rocket travel back to Asgard for an alternate 2013 to extract the 2013 Aether from that time's Jane Foster. James Rhodes and Nebula travel back to Morag in an alternate 2014, subduing the 2014 Peter Quill before taking that time's Power Stone in its orb. Romanoff and Clint Barton travel to Vormir in an alternate 2014, where each attempts to sacrifice themselves to allow the other to return with the stone, ultimately ending with Romanoff sacrificing herself. All of the stones are brought back to the present day and removed from their containers while the 2013 Aether is turned into its solid state. Stark creates a nano gauntlet to house the stones, which Banner uses to undo the blip. In alternate 2014 Thanos, having been alerted to their actions due to Nebula's cybernetic systems connecting with her 2014 self, brings his army into the future, destroying the compound and intending to use the stones to destroy and recreate the universe out of revenge for the blip being undone. In the ensuing battle, Stark sacrifices himself to disintegrate Thanos and his army with the stones in the Nano Gauntlet. After Stark's funeral, Rogers returns all of the past stones to the points in time that they were collected from. The Infinity Gauntlet is a left-handed metal gauntlet used to house the 6 stones. A right-handed gauntlet appears in Thor 2011, where it's stored in Odin's vault, though this one was later revealed to be a fake by Hela in Thor Ragnarok. The mid-credit scene of Avengers Age of Ultron revealed Thanos had acquired a left-handed Infinity Gauntlet. In Infinity War, it is revealed Thanos invaded Nidavellir and forced Eitri to create the Infinity Gauntlet by threatening to kill his people, although he did so anyway once it was completed, as well as removing Eitri's hands to prevent him from making anything else. After obtaining all 6 Infinity Stones, Thanos snaps his fingers in the gauntlet and erases half of all life in the universe. In Endgame, the gauntlet is revealed to be burnt and permanently bound to Thanos' swollen arm. After Thor kills Thanos, the charred, damaged gauntlet is left abandoned on the Garden Planet. 5 years later, Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, and Rocket use nanotechnology to create a right-handed nano-gauntlet to use the alternate universe versions of the Infinity Stones. Banner in his Smart Hulk form, due to being the most immune to the gamma radiation that the Infinity Stones' combined power will emit, uses the nano gauntlet to reverse the blip. However, the strain of channeling the combined powers still causes him considerable pain and leaves him with a crippled right arm. During the battle at the Avengers compound, an alternate variant of Thanos from 2014 attempts to use the nano gauntlet. Although he successfully acquires it, Stark magnetically removes the stones from the nano gauntlet and, wielding a makeshift gauntlet formed with his armor, uses them to erase Thanos, his army, and the nano gauntlet. The original gauntlet appears in flashback sequences from Infinity War in WandaVision. Alternate versions of the Infinity Gauntlet made brief appearances in What If? First in the 5th episode when a zombified Thanos shows up in Wakanda, and the 8th episode when Thanos arrives on Earth but is swiftly killed by Ultron. The Gauntlet returns in a small capacity during the 2nd season of What If, appearing in the last 2 episodes. In the season's penultimate episode, Steve Rogers unwillingly strikes the Time Stone while fighting Thanos, and in the final episode, where the gauntlet is used by another version of Thanos, who is then killed by Killmonger. A gauntlet appears in a flashback sequence in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, after Thanos is killed on Titan by the Illuminati. The Infinity Stones played a big role in the MCU's Infinity Saga, but they were not the original story plan. Despite the Space Stone being introduced in Thor, and the Mind Stone and Thanos debuting in the Avengers, there were no official plans until at least 2012 to make the stones the MacGuffins of the saga. James Gunn revealed that it wasn't until after he completed his first draft for Guardians of the Galaxy that Marvel Studios decided to put a bigger focus on the stones moving forward. Gunn revealed during the press tour for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 that he wrote the scene introducing the Stones' backstory in an hour and a half, starting with the Power Stone being in possession of the Collector at the time. The Power Stone's color had been changed from red, like it is in the comics, to purple in the middle of development of Guardians of the Galaxy, because Marvel decided that Aether was going to be the Reality Stone. Differences from the comics. In the comics, Thanos is motivated to retrieve and use the Infinity Gems to impress Lady Death, as she believed that the universe was overpopulated and headed for mass extinction. In the films, there's no mention of Lady Death, and Thanos wishes to reduce the population to avoid a repeat of his experience on Titan. Thanos retrieved each gem from a being who held it at the time. The In-Betweener had the Soul Gem, the Champion of the Universe had the Power Gem, the Gardener had the Time Gem, the Collector had the Reality Gem, the Runner had the Space Gem, and the Grandmaster had the Mind Gem. Furthermore, nobody else was even aware of Thanos, therefore no one attempted to stop him. In the comics, the gems had other rules, and simply being in possession of one wasn't good enough. Each gem was powered by mastering a primordial force characterized by one of the other gems. For example, mastering the Power Gem was dependent on the user's mastery of the mind, while mastery of the soul correlated with the power of the Mind Gem. The colors of the stones were originally different in the comics. They were purple for space, yellow for reality, red for power, blue for mind, orange for time, and green for the Soul Stone. The stone's colors were updated in the Marvel Legacy series to match the film versions. In the MCU, the Time Stone is housed in the Eye of Agamotto, and the Space Stone is housed in the Tesseract. However, the Marvel Comics versions of these two stones have no connections with these relics. Moving on to our game. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is a 2017 fighting video game developed and published by Capcom for home consoles and computers. It is the sixth main entry in the Marvel vs. Capcom series of crossover games and the successor to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Like previous installments, players control characters from both the Marvel Comics and Capcom universes to compete in tag team battles. Infinite features 2-on-2 fights, as opposed to the 3-on-3 format used in its preceding titles. The series' character assist moves have been removed. Instead, the game incorporates a tag-based combo system, which allows players to instantly switch between their two characters to form continuous combos. It also introduces a new gameplay mechanic in the form of the Infinity Stones, which temporarily bestows players with unique abilities and stat boosts depending on the type of stone selected. Infinity was announced during Sony PlayStation's Experience event in December of 2016. Capcom initially lost the use of the Marvel license in 2012 after the Walt Disney Company decided to focus on self-publishing its own gaming titles. However, Capcom was able to reacquire the license after Disney dissolved its console publishing division. Infinite was designed to be more accessible than previous Marvel vs. Capcom games, resulting in several changes to the series' traditional mechanics. The game also features a larger emphasis on storytelling with the series' first cinematic story mode. The plot follows the heroes of the Marvel and Capcom universes, who must work together to save their merged worlds against a new threat, Ultron Sigma. Infinite was released in 2017 for PlayStation 4, Windows, and Xbox One. The game received average to positive reviews. Critics praised its new gameplay elements, but criticized its presentation, particularly its art direction and character roster. The game also underperformed commercially. Capcom originally expected the game to sell 2 million units. However, it missed its sales target, selling approximately 1 million copies by the end of December 2017. Like its predecessors, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is a 2D fighting game in which players compete against each other in tag team combat using characters from both the Marvel Comics and Capcom universes. Players must knock out the opposing team by repeatedly attacking the opponent and draining their health bars. Infinite features 2-on-2 partner battles, similar to Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, and earlier installments in the franchise. Unlike past entries, the game does not allow players to use traditional call-in assist attacks from off-screen characters. Instead, Infinite utilizes a free-form tag system, known as Active Switch, which shares similarities with Marvel vs. Capcom 3's Team Aerial Combo system, and Street Fighter X Tekken's Switch Cancel system. Players immediately switch between their team members at any point, even while mid-air or during attack animations. This provides players with the abilities to create their own offensive or defensive assists through the tag system and form continuous combos between their two characters. As with previous Marvel vs. Capcom titles, players will charge their hyper combo gauge as their characters deal or receive damage during a fight. Players can then expend the accrued meter from their hyper combo gauge to perform hyper combos, cinematic attacks which deal larger amounts of damage to the opponent. Alternatively, players can sacrifice meter from their hyper combo gauge to perform the newly introduced counter switch mechanic, which tags in their partner character while the opponent is attacking them. This provides players with the opportunity to counterattack and free the character trapped in the enemy's combo. The hyper combo gauge in Infinite is limited to 4 bars of meter, as opposed to the 5-bar maximum used in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and 3. Infinite moves away from the button layout previously used in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, instead employs a control scheme more similar to Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which includes 4 attack buttons, consisting of 2 pairs of light and heavy punches and kicks, and 2 additional buttons used for swapping characters and activating Infinity Stone powers. To improve accessibility, the game includes an automatic combo system, which allows players to repeatedly press the light punch button to automatically perform both ground and air combos. In addition, certain hyper combos can now be activated by simply pressing the 2 heavy buttons, as opposed to the specific joystick and button combinations required in previous titles. Infinite also implements the Infinity Stones as a gameplay mechanic, similar to Marvel Superheroes, which each stone grants unique abilities. Before the match begins, players select one of 6 Infinity Stones. Each Infinity Stone bestows one ability that can be activated at any time, known as the Infinity Surge. For example, the Power Stone produces a knockback effect when used, while the Space Stone pulls an opponent closer to the player character. A second, stronger ability called the Infinity Storm can be activated after players fill their Infinity meter at least halfway, giving them a significant boost for a limited time, similar to the X Factor system from Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The boost is determined by the chosen Infinity Stone. For example, the Power Stone increases the user's damage output and combo ability, while the Space Stone traps an opponent within a confined area that severely limits their movement. The game offers various offline and online single-player and multiplayer game modes. The offline features include a story mode, a 2-hour cinematic story campaign, arcade mode, a classic arcade game experience where players fight against several AI-controlled opponents before confronting the final boss characters Ultron Sigma and Ultron Omega, mission mode where players can complete tutorial missions and character-specific challenges, training mode where players can practice their fighting abilities and adjust various training field parameters, versus Player 2, where 2 players can battle against each other locally, versus CPU, where players can battle solo against an AI-controlled opponent, and collection mode, where extras unlocked through gameplay are stored, including story cutscenes, character and stage information, concept artwork, and audio tracks. Online multiplayer includes ranked and casual matches, global leaderboards, replays, and 8-player lobbies with spectating. Online mode also introduces the Beginners League, a special league designated for low-ranking players to compete for graduation to higher ranks. The playable characters. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite features a base roster of 30 playable characters, consisting of both new and returning heroes and villains in the Marvel vs. Capcom series. The Marvel characters: Black Panther, Black Widow, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Dormammu, Gamora, Ghost Rider, Hawkeye, Hulk, Iron Man, Nova, Rocket Raccoon, Spider-Man, Thanos, Thor Odinson, Ultron, Venom, Winter Soldier. Capcom characters: Arthur, Chris Redfield, Chun-Li, Dante, Firebrand, Frank West, Jada Doma, Mike Hager, Monster Hunter, Morgan, Nathan Rad Spencer, the Nemesis T-Type, Ryu, Sigma, Strider Haryu, X, Zero. The plot of the game. Death is visited by Jada Doma, who proposes an alliance to achieve equilibrium between life and death on both their worlds. Needing the 6 Infinity Stones to do so, Death deceives Thanos and Ultron into aiding her, granting Thanos the Space Stone and sending Ultron to retrieve the Reality Stone from Able City. Sigma intercepts Ultron and the two forge their own alliance. They betray the others and use the Space and Reality Stones to merge the 2 dimensions and fuse themselves into a single being named Ultron Sigma. To wipe out biological life, they begin unleashing an evolved form of the Sigma virus that turns organic creatures into synthetic beings under their control. An alliance of heroes from both worlds is then formed. They manage to keep Ultron Sigma in a stalemate until they rescue Thanos from Ultron Sigma's prison and secure him in a containment field at Avengers Tower. To gain their trust, Thanos reveals the locations of the remaining 4 Infinity Stones, and teams of heroes are dispatched to find them. Ryu, Chun-Li, Captain America, and Hulk travel to Valkanda to obtain the Time Stone. Despite Captain America's warnings, Black Panther, the ruler of Valkanda, refuses to surrender it. Ultron Sigma's drones arrive and spread the virus, infecting a Darren Morhan. After Ryu and Hulk defeat the creature, Black Panther agrees to give them the stone. Next, Dante, Morrigan, Ghost Rider, Arthur, and Doctor Strange travel to the Dark Kingdom, where they encounter Jada, who is using the Soul Stone to feed souls to a symbiote creature, hoping to use it against Ultron Sigma. While the heroes battle Dormammu and Firebrand, Jada escapes with the stone. Meanwhile, Iron Man sends Spider-Man to assist Chris Redfield in infiltrating an Umbrella facility. There, they find Frank West and Mike Hager and discover MODOK turning people into bioorganic weapons infused with symbiotes at Jada's demand. The heroes defeat MODOK's enforcer, Nemesis, and retrieve the Mind Stone. However, they are soon attacked by Jada and his giant symbiote. On No Moon, Captain Marvel, Rocket Raccoon, Gamora, Nova, Strider Hiryu, and X defeat Ultron's Sigma's ally Grandmaster Mayo and rescue Zero from his control. Upon taking the Power Stone, the station ejects its core, which falls toward New Metro City, carrying a massive Sigma virus payload. While Dr. Light, Iron Man, Nathan Spencer, and Hawkeye build a weapon to harness the Infinity Stones, Ultron Sigma attacks the Avengers Tower. In the chaos, Thanos is released and attacks Ultron Sigma, cracking the Reality Stone and forcing them to retreat. The heroes use their stones to destroy the symbiote and the falling core, but are infected in the process. The infected heroes then head for X-Guard to infiltrate Sigma's laboratory to finish their weapon, the Infinity Buster. When Thanos learns of Death and Jada's partnership, he becomes enraged and betrays the heroes, creating a mechanized gauntlet that absorbs Ryu's Setsui no Heido before departing for revenge. After reclaiming the Soul Stone from Jada, Dante arrives in X-Guard and pretends to surrender the stone. Since they have no souls, Ultron Sigma is overwhelmed by the stone and transforms into Ultron Omega. The Infinity Buster is installed into X, who uses it to destroy Ultron Omega. In the aftermath, the virus is neutralized, but since the Reality Stone was cracked, the universes cannot be separated again. The heroes agree to protect the new world and split the Infinity Stones between them to keep them safe. In a post-credit scene, Jada tells Death that he has another plan, but Thanos arrives seeking vengeance against them. Believing that the Setsui no Heido is capable of killing immortals like Death and Jada, he prepares to attack them with a Go Hadouken. Development. Following the release of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 for the PlayStation Vita in 2012, Marvel's new parent company, the Walt Disney Company, which acquired Marvel in 2009, chose not to renew their licensing deal with Capcom, instead opting to move its viable properties toward their self-published game titles such as Disney Infinity. This resulted in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and Marvel vs. Capcom Origins being delisted from the Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network in 2013. However, in May of 2016, Disney announced its decision to discontinue self-publishing and switched over to a licensing-only model, allowing third-party game developers, including Capcom, to negotiate licenses with Marvel once again. The same year, on December 3rd, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was officially unveiled during Sony's PlayStation Experience event. Its first gameplay footage debuted on the same day, the following conclusion of Capcom Cup 2016. Norio Heroes, a programmer who had previously worked on X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, and Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Heroes, as well as other Capcom fighting games such as Project Justice and Capcom vs. SNK Millennium Fight 2000, served as Infinite's director. Game development involved Capcom Japan, Capcom USA, and Marvel Games. According to Mike Jones, executive producer at Marvel Games, Infinite was designed to be a more elegant and simplified game, which remains as complex and hardcore as past Marvel vs. Capcom installments. While the developers sought to keep the core elements of the series intact, such as air combos, they also wanted Infinite to push away from its predecessors, resulting in several changes to the series' traditional formula. The decision to change the 3-on-3 battle system used in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and 3 was considered for a long time before ultimately settling on 2-on-2 fights for the sake of accessibility. Producer Mike Evans hoped that introducing a more manageable two-character system would give casual Marvel vs. Capcom fans the ability to play the game without becoming overwhelmed. To offset the streamlined character select system and removal of call-in assist attacks, the 6 Infinity Stones were implemented to provide teams with additional customization options and increase gameplay depth. Marvel vs. Capcom compared the Infinity Stones to the groove system used in Capcom vs. SNK 2. The primary goal with the Infinity Stones was to create a level playing field by acting as comeback enabler, allowing players to compensate for their characters' deficiencies and enhance their strong points. According to developers, the inclusion of the Infinity Stones and the theme of infinite gameplay possibilities influenced their decision to use Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite as the game's title, rather than Marvel vs. Capcom 4. To further differentiate Infinite, the developers opted to use the Unreal Engine 4 to develop more cinematic and modern visuals, as opposed to the stylized art direction used in the Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The budget provided for the development of Infinite was reportedly little more than half the amount used to develop DLC content for Street Fighter V. As a result, developers reused assets from older games, including Marvel vs. Capcom 3, to save time and money. According to producer Evans and associate producer Peter Rosas, the development team examined the strengths and weaknesses of each returning character and adjusted them by providing new moves and abilities, hoping to make every fighter viable. In terms of roster selection, characters were chosen based on two aspects: their potential interactions within the story and their gameplay style. The developers sought to include a variety of different character archetypes, from small, nimble characters such as Strider Hiryu to large brawler-type characters such as the Hulk. Marvel characters' designs were proposed by Capcom's research and development team in Japan, who took inspiration from both the characters' comic book and film appearances. Marvel staff members worked closely with the team, providing feedback to maintain the authenticity of their characters' portrayals. While speaking at E3 from 2017, Evans explained how they picked the roster based on which characters Marvel was currently pushing or planning to push in the future. Beyond appealing to genre and series fans, Capcom sought to target a diverse audience with Infinite and bring in casual players who were fans of Marvel's movies, comic books, and television shows. To this end, the developers wanted to introduce a more robust cinematic story compared to previous Marvel vs. Capcom titles. Bill Roseman, creative director at Marvel Games, stated that Infinite's increased emphasis on storytelling was influenced by Marvel's story and character-centric approach to their recent projects in games, film, and television. Roseman and Jones cited Insomniac Games' Spider-Man video game and Telltale Games' Guardians of the Galaxy title as examples. While speaking at 2017 DICE Summit, Roseman also explained that Marvel Games would not force its development partners to tie their games into existing storylines throughout Marvel's universes, giving them more freedom to craft their own original stories and create new versions for their characters. Infinite's story mode script was penned by writer Paul Gardner, with oversight from Roseman and Marvel's gaming division. Gardner first became involved with the project beginning in 2015 and finished writing the script in 2016. Marvel provided feedback to Capcom on the revisions, animations, music, and presentation of the overall story mode experience. Frank Tyree, the lead writer of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, also confirmed his involvement with Infinite. According to developers, Capcom's struggle with the launch of Street Fighter V influenced several decisions during Infinite's development. The heavy criticism toward Street Fighter V's lack of content prompted Capcom to promise a larger variety of single-player and multiplayer content for Infinite upon release. As a result of Street Fighter V's initial online multiplayer server issues, the developers planned to forego their own servers in favor of dedicated servers by Sony and Microsoft, aiming to provide more stable online play for Infinite. The game does not feature cross-platform play, with Evans citing Capcom's trouble with implementing the Capcom Fighters Network cross-platform structure into Street Fighter V. Infinite also does not include any currency systems similar to Street Fighter V's Fight Money. Release: Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was released for the PlayStation 4, Windows, and Xbox One on September 19, 2017, in North America and Europe, and September 21 in Japan. The game was available in 3 editions: Standard Edition, a Deluxe Edition, and a Collector's Edition. Pre-orders for the Standard Edition included the Evil Ryu and Warrior Thor alternate in-game costumes. Pre-orders for the Deluxe Edition included the Evil Ryu, Warrior Thor, Gladiator Hulk, and Command Mission X alternate costumes, in addition to the 2017 Character Pass. The Collector's Edition, which included the Deluxe Edition and its pre-order incentives, features 4 character dioramas of Iron Man, Captain Marvel, Mega Man X, and Chun-Li by Triforce, and a case filled with 6 LED-powered Infinity Stone replicas. The Major Carol Danvers alternate costume was also packaged exclusively with the PlayStation 4 version. A story mode demo was released on June 12, 2017, following Sony's press conference at the Electronic Entertainment Expo. In February 2018, Infinite was listed on Microsoft Store as a Xbox Play Anywhere title. To coincide with the game's release, Capcom announced their first global tournament series for Infinite called Battle for the Stones. In addition to extending special invitations to the Evolution Championship Series 7 Marvel vs. Capcom 3 champions, Capcom selected 6 community events to act as Infinity Stone tournaments. The winner of each event, in addition to qualifying for the Battle for the Stones finals, received an Infinity Stone that could be used to gain a unique advantage during the competition. For example, the Space Stone allowed its bearer to swap their position within the tournament bracket to face a different opponent, while the Mind Stone allowed its bearer to pick their opponent's team. Fellow competitors could steal Infinity Stones by successfully defeating the current owners. Capcom also held 3 regional online tournaments to fill out the remaining bracket spots. The finals were held in Anaheim, California on December 9th through 10th from 2017 and included a $30,000 prize pool. The winner of the tournament was Jonathan Cloud 805 Morales, who received $20,000 and an Infinity Gauntlet trophy. Build time today, 1 hour, 29 minutes, 51 seconds. Which means that you would still have about an hour of Avengers Infinity Wars left to watch after completing this build. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Remember to like, subscribe, share, ring that bell, all the things for the YouTubes. Thank you.